Good morning, good day, and good evening. Welcome to episode 168, I believe, of Tech of a Tea. I'm, as always, your host, Brady Robertson, and this is not a Gentoo video. Welcome to the show, Joshua. How's it going?
Well, not too bad. Well, you see, I just got off of work after a very boring night where I completely lost track of time until you started messaging me. I'm like, oh, that's what time it is.
Yeah, I don't
And
have Discord on my phone or anything like that, so
oh
I
well,
got home like 10 minutes before we were supposed to start.
it also turns out that I forgot my wallet at home too, and it's a 60-mile round. It's a 60-mile one-way trip from my house to where I work.
Jesus.
So
okay.
I ask, I have to do the thing, and it's just like, hey, can I get like $5 from somebody here? So it's just like I can make sure I can get home.
Yeah.
Because I drive a Toyota Corolla. It gets about 40 miles a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad for a car made in the early 2000s. But it's just like, it's just a little far.
How old's your Corolla?
Say what?
What year is it? Like
2002.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is a bit of an older model then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recently got rid of my old 2001 Holden Barina, and that thing, it got me around places. The issue is a lot. My passenger mirror was held on with duct tape. The engine had this problem where if you when it was cold, it would sometimes like stutter forward, which would sometimes happen on highway mergers. The air conditioning didn't work. There's a bunch of other problems that I just didn't want to deal with. So I was like, you know what?
Oh.
I'm done. Bye-bye. I sold the car to someone. They did a 5-minute test drive, didn't notice any of the problems, and bought it on the spot. Like, good. Take the bomb. I don't want it. Never speak to me again.
Oh, you'd have a trip with my car then, because I literally bought it out of a junkyard and drove it home.
Hey!
Yeah, I bought it from junkyard. It needed a tie rod because, when the previous owner was driving the car down the road, tie rod broke, and then they spun the car out, hit a tree. So it's got a big old dent in the passenger side. And then I bought it because I was going to use it as a race car because we got a local racetrack around here. Right. So I strip out the interior, I put the cage in it, I take it a couple laps around the racetrack, run a couple endurance races, which is about 6 hours straight of just driving full throttle because it's just an oval track. There's no reason to ever hit the brakes. Perfect punishment for a car, by the way. This car
absolutely.
Beat the hell and back. And then my daily driver blew up. So it's just like, okay, well then let's just take this car back. We'll take the roll cage out because it's just a.
Oh no, I thought you were gonna say you just left the roll cage in there.
No, I took it out because I needed to put street legal seats back in.
Ah, that makes sense. I see.
So I put the interior back in. I still have the mounts in there if I want to make a new cage and put it in there, but I don't have the time to do that anymore.
Fair enough.
But I'm just driving down the highway in this old beat up car because it happens to be legal in Ohio to drive a car in such a terrible shape.
Yeah, I've seen some of the houses there, so I'm not surprised that the cars, you can get away with some fucking awful shit there.
Well, there's a reason why the state of Ohio is actually one of the cheapest places to actually buy property in the United States right now.
Right.
Because nobody wants to move here.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It's not as bad as West Virginia, where it's just there's just no reason to move there because Ohio's got a lot of stuff going on for it. However, you don't want to move here.
Yeah, the thing with Australia is a lot of Australia is it's not you don't want to move there, it's you can't live there. That's the difference. You can live in Ohio. You can't live in most of this country. It's just nearest town is 3 hours away. Nearest water is 3 hours away. Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah, I used to work in logistics, and the company that I worked for was based out of Australia. So of course, every now and then they would actually have a truck driver, just change countries and decide, I'm done driving truck in Australia. I'm going to move to the United States to drive truck over there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I would talk to these guys, and they would talk about the road trains that they would have out in Australia. Oh my goodness, I better mute that phone.
Well,
I have a partial ownership of a business, so of course I get a lot of emails.
right, fair enough.
Lighted, I work the third shift, so I don't have to answer the emails. But
Yep.
I got to be able to at least look at them. I go like, yes, I read that email. I swear.
Yeah, gotta look busy at least. Bare minimum. Yeah, you were saying about the road trains.
But yeah, the road trains. Which if you don't live in Australia or you live in Sydney, Australia, and you've never seen one, road trains are basically just like these big old American styles semi trucks. They're called long hood trucks, and they pull 3 to 4 trailers, sometimes more at a time, and they literally just drive from one end of Australia to the other.
Yep.
That is their one job in life.
Let's see if we can find a ridiculous.
That's got to be a pretty boring drive.
How many should I show? I'm trying to find one that has like a ridiculous number of trailers on it.
I'm sure you could probably find one.
Here we go. This is 5. Oh, that is such a horrible picture. This is 5 petrol tankers. That is. I love these things. They're so good.
Yeah, I mean, they look beautiful to drive in a straight line, never having to go backwards.
No. Never. Yeah. No,
I can only imagine what happens when they take a wrong turn.
Well, I've got relatives my parents live out rural, so I will occasionally go out there. It's like a 130k drive. I don't know what that is in miles. Can go and convert it. I don't know. Anyway, it's like an hour and a half drive away. And occasionally you will see these road trains going by, and like if you are if you are behind one of them, you are not getting anywhere until the next overtaking section. It's just going to be going at the speed it's going, and you just wait. There's some people there that are like, you know what? I'm going to try overtaking it. And this is like it's like a 2-lane road. So you have traffic going one way, traffic going the other way. They're like, let's just wing it, see what happens. And they're like, I've seen people do this near turns. Like, what are you doing? Are you trying to die? Just wait. And like, we have so many overtaking lanes out here. Like, every, 4 or 5 kilometers, there'll be an overtaking lane. You can wait a couple of minutes, but nope, gotta move straight away. And then if you're in front of one, well, you don't want to be in a situation where you need to put your foot on the brake. Because if you are, you gotta get off the road. Do not be anywhere near one of those trucks.
Well, the funny thing is, here in the eastern United States, we actually don't have overtaking lanes.
Okay.
So if you get stuck behind a truck like that on a 2-lane road, you are stuck behind that truck.
Is there just no overtaking in that case?
There is overtaking. It just depends on the lines on the lines on the road.
Okay.
Where sometimes you see the dashed lines, other times you see the solid lines.
We do the same thing.
Yeah. It's a relatively simple concept, but just obey the lines. If you have a solid line, you're not allowed to pass. If it's dashed, you're allowed to pass.
Well,
it makes sense.
Well,
that said, how many people actually follow those lines? Who knows?
Oh my! The fucking
lighted.
The thing I hate the most driving out there is you'll occasionally see cop cars that are driving like 5-10 kilometers under the limit, just waiting for someone to speed past them to overtake them. It's like, guys.
I wish that was something that happened out here, but we have the opposite case where the police officers are oftentimes speeding.
Well, they do that here as well.
That's also because I happen to be in a very rural area where we only have 3 sheriff's deputies for the entire county.
Jesus Christ! I used to.
Thankfully, it's a very small county of about 1,400 people.
Oh well, that works then. Yeah, I used to live like real rural. The school I went to at the time had like 50 students, and that was from. I don't know how they structure it in America, but it was from like the start of school, so like 5-ish up to 12, and there was 50 students in the entire school. I enjoyed it out there. I would like to go live rural again, but it's also real convenient where I'm at right now. Like everything's in a reasonable driving distance. I don't have to drive 60 miles to get to work. That's always nice. But hey. One day I can dream.
Yep, maybe.
So before we started the show, you showed me the that's 1 cup of tea you have.
Oh, you want to talk about the cups? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So if you guys have seen me on other YouTubers' contents, I'm oftentimes drinking coffee or water, or in this case, I'm drinking tea today. I will oftentimes show this cup.
Mhm.
This is the wonderful challenge accepted cup that I will always drink out of after I agree to like some kind of a challenge, or I dare somebody to take a challenge. You know, like install Gentoo.
Mhm, mhm.
In the meantime, I've also got the DT cup, where you can't read it because you know DT used a horrible font for this, but it says Linux should hurt a little. And then of these 3 cups,
Uh-huh.
Zero Linux has the best cup.
That is a pretty good cup. Yeah. Like,
I mean, it is slightly larger. It's a 10-ounce cup rather than an 8-ounce, and it's actually thicker walled, which means that it insulates better as a coffee mug.
I have my cup says tee hee hee. I didn't buy this. My mum bought it for me.
Oh,
So,
and
like,
you know,
what?
just to
Sure, I'll use it. Why not?
yeah, and just to spice things up a little bit, I've got the venerable bottle of Bacardi.
Hey! I don't have anything to drink right now, but I do have a bunch of empty Strong Zero cans down here. There's like no, there's 5 cans, and then the other ones are empty, moldy iced coffee bottles. I should probably throw these out. They're like, yeah, they're gross, but they can live on the floor for now. Usually they live on the desk, but I was like, you know what? Let's clean my desk this week for the videos. Half the time, you like if you watch my videos at the start of the week, like I record in bulk, so I do 4 videos and 2 videos. Sometimes in the 4 video block, you'll see a ton of alcohol just on the side because I just didn't clear it off after the weekend. Because half the time I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna drink by myself and play. I don't know. Right now I'm playing Nier. It's a lot of fun. I saw you post about it on Mastodon, but
Nier is a fantastic game.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Like I was actually watching the anime first, and the anime and then I'm just one day I just get scrolling through the Crunchyroll comments because you know Crunchyroll is like the only proper legal service that you know serves anime. But you know I'm just scrolling through the Crunchyroll comments, and then like everybody's fucking spoiling the anime. They're like, well, fuck, I might as well just play the game.
Yup. How much are you through the game right now?
I'm basically at the start of the 2nd playthrough, so
Okay,
I'm playing as 9S right now.
Yep. Yeah, I just got to the 3rd playthrough.
Okay, I was told that at the end of the 1st playthrough that apparently there's 23 different endings.
There's 26. There's 26.
There's 26 different endings. I have found 2 of them so far where I ate a fish and died.
Yeah, okay.
And then another one where I finished the 1st playthrough.
Okay. With 9S's one, you know, right at the start. How much have you played of the 2nd playthrough?
I played the intro, and then
okay. So
they just self-destructed, and I'm currently in the Space Center because I've made no progress because I decided I was going to switch to this other Linux distribution,
right.
And then I decided I was going to start helping this Linux distribution like I normally do, and of course, if you guys know me, I tend to break a lot of things.
We'll get to Linux at some point.
So I've been constantly reinstalling this distribution for the past 2 weeks because we're running the unstable branch like a savage. Might also because you know it's the only branch of this operating system that ships a 6.2 kernel because I happen to be using an Intel Arc GPU.
The thing I wanted to mention with 9S, so you know, right at the start, like just after you do the robot bit with like the oil,
yeah.
So you know how it's like, hey, get in the flying thing. If you decide to just walk away, that's an ending. It's like 9S abandoned his mission. Humanity is dead.
I should have tried that. I didn't even think about it.
I just saw that it was like, because you could walk over to where 2B was gonna fight the big thingy,
the big claw.
Yeah, big whatever it is. If you start walking over there, the game just ends.
I noticed that 9S can apparently see like enemy names that you couldn't see as 2B.
Yeah,
because the first big boss there that you fight, If you go through the first playthrough, the name's just question marks.
Yeah. Yeah, the Engels was the first boss.
I think so.
I thought that was linked to maybe the side. Were you doing any of the side quests in your first playthrough?
I was doing some of the side quests. I just never dawned on me to actually do many of the side quests until like it was entirely too late to like do the side quests.
Yep.
So I wound up just like steamrolling through it, and I fought the circus. I fought like the amusement park boss, which is a level 25 boss, and I was level 8. So
luckily you can just spam the dodge button. You never get hurt.
Well, I didn't discover the dodge button until about 2 hours into that fight.
wait. How did you get through the first fight if you didn't know what the dodge button?
It's called run, tuck, and roll.
I guess you do get like 30 healing items, so it's pretty hard to die, even if you get hit with everything.
Yeah. Well, I'm used to playing Monster Hunter. Where, you hit the A button and dodge. So I was actually just jumping over some of the things.
It works. Because
it's like, this makes sense to me. It never dawned on me to hit like I play with controller because Dvorak keyboard, so it's just game's not gonna support it. So it's just like just hit right trigger.
Control?
This controller?
Yeah.
This is a Goalie Kit King Kong Pro controller. That's what they call it. They literally call it a Goalie Kit King Kong Pro 2.
King Kong. Yeah, it's just that whenever I see anyone that has... here it is. Whenever I see anyone that has a third-party controller right now, everyone has an 8-bit Do controller. I don't understand.
Okay, so...
I've not seen this one before.
This is a very unique controller because these are not resistive sticks. Every single button and stick on this controller is a Hall effect sensor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I've been rocking this controller for about 1.5 years now, and I've been using it every day for multiple hours. Not a single bit of joystick drift at all. Not even a hint. It is perfect. I pull up like the Steam configure the Steam joystick calibrator, spot on 0 every time.
Oh, okay.
And the company actually supports right to repair, so you can buy replacement parts for this controller too.
Wow.
I know. And they sell a stick kit for the Steam Deck as well. So you can replace your Steam Deck joysticks with the same sensors that's in this.
God, what the hell's playing? Stop playing audio. Their website had an automatic play trailer. Stop it. Don't do that. How much is it? It's $90. Okay, it's like in the range of like normal controller prices.
It is worth the price. It's like it's about, I think that's about the same price as like the Microsoft Pro controller.
I think actually give me one sec. Xbox. I think it might just be the price of the normal controller. No, what the no, that's not what I searched for. Xbox One controller. Here we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just looked it up. The Elite Wireless Controller Series 2 is $150 where this one is 70.
Okay, here Series I need someone to search stuff for me.
You're welcome.
How much is the regular controller? Okay, no, regular controller is about the same price as a Ghillie Kit. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, the biggest drawback to this is that they advertise it as a Nintendo Switch controller.
Right.
Which it works great for, but I rearranged these buttons here because I took the controller apart and just popped these out and just move them around to the appropriate places.
Oh, that didn't even click with me.
Yeah, it's a Nintendo Switch controller. You can't really see the letters, but like it's got like the Nintendo button layout.
Yeah, it does. Huh.
Yeah. I even have like the dedicated screenshot button, which I've found quite handy. I actually mapped this to actually control Hyperland for a little bit, just as an experiment. But it is Bluetooth controller. It's got 4 different settings here for the Bluetooth, so it can identify as a direct ActiveX controller or a direct input controller.
Oh,
it can map as an Android controller or a Switch controller as well. So I can have it. I have it mapped to not only my computer but also my Switch as well as my phone. Even though I play no games whatsoever on a phone, I just set up for the fun of it. And then I have no reason to use direct input ever.
Wow, that's a really cool controller.
It is. It even supports like cheaty macros too. So you can set up like rapid fire turbo buttons if you want. I don't do that because I believe in being fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't even know how you do that. Yeah, it's a really cool controller. I heavily recommend it to anybody that's willing to buy that needs a new controller.
Yeah, right now my go-to. Here we go. I'm very boring with my controller choices. I have a first-party Series X controller in white. Don't buy white controllers. They're a bad idea.
Yeah, don't buy white controllers. I used an Xbox 360. I know exactly why you don't buy a white controller.
Yeah, this controller, like, there's what do you I don't know, grime, we'll call it. There's grime growing up on them. I need to get some like alcohol wipes and clean it. But yeah, I just buy first party controllers. I like them. I think the reason why I buy first party controllers is, like everyone, I was burnt on third party controllers back in the PS2 days. And I've never really recovered from it. Yeah. But nowadays, like, there are some really good options. Like, this one's cool. People are like really, really good with the 8-bit Do controls. How are the drivers with Linux? How does it just play perfectly?
It just works.
Just works.
Just works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Just make sure to set the X input, and it just works. Because all you need to do is if you're planning on using it with Steam, just make sure you install the Steam Devices package.
Okay, I might have a look at it.
It is literally class compliant. It is fantastic. Lighted, if you're going to be like doing anything like firmware updates with this, you do need to use Windows.
Right, fair enough.
But at the same time, I have no need to update the firmware because the controller works as it is, and it's not internet connected. So why do I care?
Yeah, what would you need to change with the firmware?
I think the firmware updates available they mostly just introduce new features.
Right,
and stuff like that, or maybe fix a bug that somebody found somewhere. But like I said, it's been working fine for me.
So it'd be like bugs with the macro configuration stuff and whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, prior to that controller, I used this venerable Xbox 360 controller that I bought 10 years ago. It still works, surprisingly. And then I also had a Logitech F340 or something like that. Cheap little $10 controller that looks just like a PS2 controller.
F340. No, not the.
I think it's an
F310. I found. Wait,
that might be the one? It looks just like a PlayStation controller.
Is that what?
Yeah,
that
F310. F310.
That looks like the reason why I don't like. Okay, oh my god, why are the pictures not loading? That looks like the reason why I don't like third-party controllers. I had a controller that looked like this as a kid.
Yeah. Now that controller actually isn't bad. Because it falls into that category of Logitech devices where it's just like good, reliable, cheap crap.
That's fair. No, yeah, I'm a big Logitech shill. Like, I've got my G305 here. I've got my. I can't move that. I've got my MMO mouse here. I don't know if you can see it. My
I've also got the MMO mouse.
Hey, yeah.
It is my relegated gaming mouse that I use for like the few games that I played that I actually use a mouse for. Like MMOs.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then I've got the Daily Driver trackball, and then I'm looking at picking up another trackball at some point too. Preferably rather than a thumb ball like this one, like an actual finger ball, because I'm starting to delve more into like AutoCAD and Blender, and supposedly those are a little bit nicer.
How is the trackball life? I've never actually used one.
Trackballs?
Yeah.
So if you're brand new to trackballs, and you've never used one before, get this trackball.
Okay.
This is, I think they call it like the MX Master or something like that. Or,
yep. Okay.
Well,
this says the device. Yeah.
This says M570. It's cheap. It's like $25 on US Amazon, and it works. I just use this. I just use it with my laptop mostly.
Here it is.
Just drop it in the grab and go bag because sometimes you don't want to use a trackpad. And But the big advantage of the trackball is that after a while it's just like it's just nicer for like a casually just laying back just scrolling through like news articles that you pick up off of your RSS reader and stuff like that. But in general, this one specifically, it feels very premium and it's nice and weighty, and it's just more comfortable for me to use on a daily basis compared to like a normal mouse. Lighted, there is the trade off with gaming, of course,
Sure,
but
sure.
that's what you have regular mice for, or controllers.
Yeah, I've certainly considered using a trackball in the past. Because I'm always doing stuff on the computer, so wrist problems are going to develop over time. But
Yeah. The only thing that really sucks about this trackball is that when I'm doing any kind of work in Blender, where it's just like I have to click and drag for long periods of time, because maybe I just want to like rotate around like the whole project and look at the other side. It gets a little tiresome after a while. But I've also used programs like Dungeon Draft to actually draw like maps for my D&D campaigns. Where sometimes you're clicking and dragging with extreme precision, and it's just like I'm trying to draw borders for like my fog of war, and it gets very tedious a little bit at a time.
Yep. Huh. Maybe I'll consider like same with like the ergonomic keyboard thing. Like I run the expensive crazy keyboard Red Dragon what is this? K618. It is very cheap. It's very low profile. It is a clone of a Logitech keyboard.
I might have that keyboard. It might be in the background, but I might have
the Logitech keyboard or the Red Dragon.
The Logitech keyboard.
But
I've got this venerable keyboard, which is the most expensive keyboard I ever bought.
Yep.
Because I built it myself. I don't know how much I spent because I bought it one piece at a time. And I don't even use it anymore because I picked up the world famous ThinkPad keyboard. So we've been trying to Luke Smith it here. We're no longer using the mouse. We're trying to use a track point an awful lot because I'm still trying to get used to it. It is cancer. I honestly found it better to use something like DWM's warp patch with it than anything else.
What is the warp patch? I've not used DWM.
If you use DWM, I think it's even been ported to DWL and Hyperland. It's a config option to enable this, by the way. What mouse warp basically means is that whenever you focus a window or open up a new window, or a new window becomes like your focus, the mouse would just automatically warp to the center of that window.
Oh, I just have that enabled. Yeah. Right. Okay. I thought it was like some weird special thing that like this. I think that's default behavior in Hyperland actually. Like in the default config at least. I'm pretty sure. Maybe.
It might be.
Let me see.
I wouldn't know because it was one of the first things I looked for.
Oh, no, I shouldn't have opened a window. Now your camera's broken. Okay, we're back.
Oh, no.
Don't open windows on that screen. Okay, I'll remember that. My recording setup is so precarious. I cannot touch anything.
I imagine what it involves is a full screen Discord window that you basically just like screen capture in the OBS.
Basically, I've also got I also share like a browser overlay, and that browser overlay is just a floating window sitting above everything, covering my face so I don't have to see it. But like it just like I cover my face because it's weird. Like, when I record videos, I always have my OBS off to the side, so if I see my face moving in front of me, it just completely throws me off. It's like having my audio play back in my head. It just feels really weird to me. I cannot deal with it. Like, I've tried to in the past. I know some people like it. It's not for me.
Well, because I happen to be using this wonderful Arc GPU, sometimes OBS likes to crash. So I've picked up the habit of, let's just put the OBS window directly in front of me so I can make sure that OBS is still open. And I literally just watch myself be a talking head sometimes.
I can see it out the like periphery of my my vision. Like it's just I've got a my setup is so fucking stupid. I've got a horizontal monitor in front of me. This is where like all my main stuff happens. Off to the side here, I have a vertical monitor. This is where usually Discord lives, but right now OBS is there as well. I also have another vertical monitor behind this monitor. I can only see half the monitor. The reason why it's there is you probably noticed in my videos I look slightly off from the camera, it's my teleprompter. I bought the cheapest monitor I could find. It sits on an arm, and it does what it needs to do. It's a giant waste of money doing it like this. I'm sure there was a better option, but I'm not going to change it.
There is. It's called, there's teleprompter apps for your phone.
That's a good point. I hadn't considered that. I've been doing it like this for so long.
You think your monitor config is kind of stupid? I have 6 monitors connected to this computer.
Oh.
I've got the 3 in front of me. It's set up command-based style.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the one in the server rack because that's where the computer actually lives.
Right.
And then I've got the TV here, and then I've got another TV in the kitchen. And this system is connected to all of them. Because, sometimes, like if I'm in the kitchen, I want to throw a recipe up on the screen. And it's like, I don't want to keep a dedicated computer in the kitchen because, my kitchen's a nightmare.
Fair enough.
So it's just like, where the heck am I going to put that? So, and then, sometimes I just want to watch like a full screen YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously because the computer's in the server room, it's nice to have, a monitor in the server room or at least some kind of a screen just in case you need to do things.
Sure. Man,
but yeah,
it works.
If you guys are, if the audience is any curious as to how I have this set up, I'm not using any Thunderbolt docks like a certain tech YouTuber. I'm just using really long HDMI and USB cables.
Yep. I think
because I'm doing it the proper way.
I think some people forget like how far you can actually take an HDMI cable, even before going to like the fiber optic HDMI cable, all that nonsense. Like regular HDMI cables go a really long distance. Like the standard is pretty solid.
I think the standard is like 600 feet.
Yeah,
because you're not feeding you don't care about the electrical quality at all because it is all just a digital signal. That's the beauty of HDMI, unlike USB, which USB also has to provide power.
Yeah.
So what
USB,
I have for
I don't know what the modern standard is. I know USB 2 was like, I think it was like 3 or 4 meters. I don't know what the current standard is.
USB is, I think it's 15 feet.
Yeah, it's definitely not that far.
Which is
about 4 meters.
I think that's 3.5 to 4 meters.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get like these repeater cables that'll amplify the signal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm using. It just plugs into a wall, and it's like it's just a little 5-volt connection to amplify the strength of the signal for USB. It works perfectly fine. I've run into this nice little USB hub that I picked up off of Amazon for like $30. Typically, it's the same kind of hub that you would use for a Raspberry Pi because it's a 16-port hub that plugs into the wall and provides its own power as well, so I don't have to worry.
A 16-port hub?
Yes.
How well does that play when you have everything docked?
Everything just works.
Sure. Okay. Wait, what is that connected to your system with?
USB 3.
Okay, so what does the dock have on it?
I've got my mice, my keyboard, this microphone. I've got my 2 lamps, and then I happen to have like this camera as well. Actually, right here is the hub. It lives right underneath the screen.
And
then
what was that there? What are you controlling that with?
This?
Yeah.
It's just a tablet. I'm using OBS WebSockets.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the application is called OBS Blade, but there's also like web GUI interfaces you can use as well.
Blade.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's an open source Android application that you can use to connect to OBS Studio and control OBS Studio using WebSockets because global hotkeys are cool and all, but they don't work on most Wayland systems. So I just decided I'm going to use WebSockets. Because sometimes I forget to close OBS when I leave home. So because I connect there, I run my own VPN service here through Tailscale. I can just pull up the phone, pull up OBS Blade, and tell it to, hey, stop recording, please.
I had been looking for something like this for ages.
You're welcome.
Yeah, like when WebSockets first became like a official part of the OBS project. Like I was waiting for someone to make something like this because I've been wanting something that could deal with the global hotkey issue. Yeah. And this is better than that. Because this allows you to do stuff over your network.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm going to try this out. I might do a video on this. Maybe. I'll forget. But I'm definitely going to use it.
But yeah, there's also like a web GUI interface too that is basically provides you with just buttons that you can press on, and but I just found like the dedicated Android application to work best in my opinion. That with this tablet, I had to set it up so that the screen stays on basically at all times. It just never shuts off even when it's running on battery. But it's fine. It's one of those cheap $20 Android tablets, and it works.
Yeah, for that it would be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I you know what I love about doing this podcast? I find out things that I just never knew existed.
You're welcome.
I wish that someone had just told me before. Projects built with the Flutter framework. Oh, that's cool.
I found it by literally Googling OBS WebSocket controller for Android.
I think that's the problem. I looked up OBS WebSocket controller. I didn't put the Android part in, just didn't show up.
Yeah, but I debated getting a Steam Deck or not a Steam Deck, but a Stream Deck for the longest time, because there's a working driver package for it nowadays, and you can install like the Boatswain application from FlatHub, and it supposedly just works out of the box. But how does the Stream Deck work? It communicates over WebSockets, so it's like there's got to be something else that we can use instead.
Do you know what? I love Boatswain, and I love the developer who made it as well. It was made by Georges Tavrakis, the guy that fixes everything involving OBS. Like, OBS doesn't work on Wayland? Okay, portals. Here you go. I fixed it. Oh, here's this. Oh, it works now. Your Stream Deck's not working? Here you go. It's fixed now. Like, sure. Okay, I'll take it, man. Like, this guy's awesome. I've not tested Boatswain. I don't have a Stream Deck myself, but I had definitely considered it. Yeah, maybe I'll get a cheap tablet instead, because if that would do pretty much the same thing, maybe it makes more sense to do that. What would you like? So, are there any like limitations, any like issues with your setup right now that you wouldn't be able to that can't really be addressed with what you're doing?
So most of my use with OBS is that is time spent using the virtual camera, which you can toggle with through WebSockets, but this application does not have a button for it.
Right.
So I had to map a hotkey for it, which will actually control the virtual camera. But you can start and stop streaming, and this application can actually look at chat too. So you can manage your chat through this too. The YouTube integration is still very much beta, because YouTube chat is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But Twitch is just IRC, so it just connects and works.
Yeah, I multi-stream anyway, so as long as I can see Twitch chat, it's fine. But all I would need is changing scenes and start and stop. That's pretty much it. No, we fine.
Oh yeah. I can change scenes. Well, actually, let me flip over to this camera. This is just a cheap little Logitech camera, so it's not gonna be like
C920.
World. Yeah, C920, because everybody's got them.
You're looking at one right now.
Yeah, but you've got your start stream button, your record button. That's just the replay buffer, but I disable that. That's like your global hotkey button. So I hit that, and then I have toggle options for all the hotkeys. And then I've got my scene maps right here. And then this shows like the things that are on the scene, so like audio levels and objects in the scene, which obviously this is just a virtual camera, so I got like next to nothing.
Right.
And then I can scroll down. Right there's the chat, and I can get the live stats from OBS in here too.
That's really cool.
Then you can look at previous sessions as well. You can see I've done quite a bit with it. And then you got your general settings.
I will definitely have to look at that. That's even cooler than I thought it was. Okay.
Yeah, the only problem is that sometimes I forget to hit the button during a live stream. So just like people are just looking at me talking, and I'm talking about stuff that I'm seeing on the desktop.
Well, yeah, I can't remember how many times I've been like playing a game and I swap back to my face for whatever reason. I don't know, talking about something, and then I just keep playing for like a couple of minutes. People are like, What's the game? Game. Show me the game. Oh.
That's another reason why I have the OBS window, like,
Yes.
where I can look at it.
Yeah, very important. Yeah, I might check this out. See what I can go and do with. Thank you for that.
I think there's like iPhone ports of this application too, but like none of them have been able to actually get approved by Apple. So
yeah, I don't give a shit about an iPhone version. Unless I'm gonna go buy like a 10-year-old iPhone. I don't have an iPhone. I run a Chinese spyware phone. It is.
That's fine. You can probably still buy them, unlike me.
Oh well. What was it? Just Huawei that was banned in the US, or was it like Oppo and stuff as well?
Oppo is still legal to buy.
Okay, yeah.
But Oppo was on the chopping block with Huawei as well, but they apparently somehow made it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows?
Because we had some similar stuff with Huawei here as well. I don't know why
the big reason why is because Huawei was also the one that was selling a lot of the 5G antennas and broadcasting units
that
as well.
Were being deployed near military bases.
That were being deployed near military bases, and Oppo just sold phones.
Right, yeah. See, they overextended. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Just keep cloning Pixel phones, and you wouldn't have been caught.
Lighted, if you might have noticed, the U.S. government only cares, only just pretends to not care until like they are no longer like the leader in some form. You know, like social media video streaming platforms. TikTok is now almost as popular or more popular than YouTube. Who actually knows, because nobody actually releases numbers.
Yeah.
Ban TikTok.
The only numbers you really get are like download statistics from like the Google Play and iOS store. Yeah. And you don't even see the numbers, it's just the ranking.
A lot of times now, there was a short while there where manufacturers were just pre-installing TikTok for you.
Jesus Christ.
Which is probably how the app actually became so popular to begin with.
Oh, I wouldn't be that would definitely be a part of it. I know there have been some like sketchy computers you can buy that like come with TikTok pre-installed as well. It's like
that said, if you're a U.S. citizen, call your local senator or representative right now and tell them not to actually do anything with the Restrict Act. Just tell them to vote no, because that act is way too broad.
Yeah, I've not looked deeply into it,
but just Google the Restrict Act. Level 1 Techs actually did a really great deep dive into the Restrict Act. It is entirely too broad and gives the government way too much power, almost as much power as the Patriot Act did.
But TikTok bad. And TikTok's not even mentioned.
Bad. TikTok bad. TikTok bad. Let's make a bill that doesn't even mention TikTok.
No. Okay, I can't find Level 1 Text does a lot of stuff. I can't find the video. It'll be somewhere around here. I will find it afterwards. If I look at Level 1 Text Restrict Act, should be able to find it. It's called Breaking Down the Restrict Act. Okay.
Yeah.
It
was actually pretty recent too, like 6 days ago.
Yeah, 6 days ago. Yeah. I will go and check that one out afterwards. Yeah. I don't like my knowledge of the Restrict Act is like very surface level. I just know it exists. I know a lot of people are very angry about it, and I know it doesn't mention TikTok.
So thankfully, it's actually one of the shortest bills that's going through Congress right now. So it's actually slightly readable. But it lists out 13 different countries. You can guess which ones. And then it says that, hey, these companies may provide services that we don't want here. So the department, I think it's the Department of the State, can actually just sit there and order a complete block on everything from that service.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
That's basically what it says. And then it says any attempt to access this service, as if you're a U.S. citizen, every act that can be used to access this service can potentially be charged with violating this act, as well as the Espionage Act.
Right, there was VPN stuff in there. Right, that's
the VPN stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's insane.
It is insane. Because what happens when you accidentally land on a page somewhere while you're using your VPN?
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, you're getting charged with espionage. There is no defending yourself. If you know anything about the Espionage Act, you don't even get a defense. you get you don't get to say anything in defense of yourself whatsoever. They literally just look at evidence and determine if you violated the law or not.
Skip, go straight. Skip, go. Wait. Skip. I can't speak. I'm trying to make a Monopoly joke. It's not happening.
Skip, go, and go straight to jail.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the same thing that they've got Julian Assange charged with, as well as Edward Snowden, and all the big people that you've heard their names of before.
Yep. That's good. Yeah. Great times we live in.
Seems great. Seems great for your $5 a month Mulvad subscription.
Man, gotta look. If you just pay Mulvad in cash that you mail to them, it's fine.
That's actually what I do.
I know that's what you do. Has that? I'm surprised that's like worked well for you and like nothing.
So, the law in the United States is that the U.S. Postal Service has to be as accurate as they possibly can be with delivery, and they have to provide that letter to that address. And it is actually illegal for that address to go anywhere else or for anyone else other than the intended recipient to receive that letter. So, and they only pass the letter through like this massive scanner. So if it doesn't pass through the scanner properly, that's when they'll stop and they'll like X-ray the letter and stuff. Look for like anything that might be illegal. But I'm just sending cash, so it just works.
I love the Mulvad just is like they just give you every payment option you could possibly want. You want to pay in crypto? Go ahead. Want to pay in cash? Go ahead. It works. Do it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I mean, they haven't disabled my account yet, so as far as I know, clearly it's going through.
Man, like even if you don't care about your privacy, just having a VPN is just a useful thing to have. Like, you've all seen the VPN ads. You can watch Netflix in whatever country you want. Like, the way that we distribute content on the internet makes no sense with the way the internet... Like, the internet is this global thing, but we've still got these weird, archaic systems where, like, you're an American, so you can't watch British Netflix. You're British, you can't watch Australian... Like, this is dumb. This doesn't make any sense in a global system like the internet. Even just that by itself. Or
as an alternative. I have a DSL internet connection. So that means that my internet is not the world's fastest.
Well, so that's one way to put it. It's not the world's
slowest.
A lot
of times when I go to youtube.com, how many hops are between me and YouTube? 128.
Okay.
That's before I get to the YouTube Content Delivery Network. A VPN will actually handle a lot of those hops for me, and I don't have to pull in every single one of those sources back home. So it's sometimes the only way I can actually watch a YouTube video, even though YouTube is probably the best performing service when your internet is everybody in your county is using the internet right now, and you're basically limited to like maybe 256K.
Well, luckily right now, like your camera's all clear, so everyone.
Well, it's also 11 in the morning on a weekday, so that's obviously fair. People are at work.
Yeah. The VPN things, like I play FF14, and sometimes the routing, like I don't know what they're doing with their servers, but sometimes there is some nonsensical hops, and running a VPN, a lot of people just get a better ping playing in the game, because for some reason, whatever's going on, wherever they've got their server set up, it does not work properly. Like this is especially common if you're playing from Australia, for example. A lot of people set up a VPN if they're playing on like the American servers, and it's just way quicker. You would think that it's going through extra things, but when you like actually fully understand the whole process, it does make sense. It's just seems weird. Also, a lot of VPNs...
It's called you're technically connecting to less bullcrap. And then letting the VPN server just handle all of that for you.
Well, there's also the issue of sometimes sharks like to nibble on the undersea cables. So
that
can be a problem. There have been some,
and sometimes sometimes in the case of like some other countries that happen to be in the Pacific Ocean, it's not just sharks that are nibbling at that cable too.
There have been cases where like entire small countries have been knocked off the internet just
Yep.
because the bigger countries like Australia, America, all these places like these we have redundant cables. But if you're a small island nation, many cases you don't. You have
Yep.
if you have a cable, assuming you have a cable and you're not dealing with just satellite, that is the cable. That is it.
Yeah. I think I was watching like this YouTube video. It was where they were deep diving into this small country out in Europe, where this lady was digging in her backyard and cut the fiber cable that serves internet for the entire country. So, but by planting her garden, she literally cost her country something like $17 billion in lost trades. Effectively shut down her entire economy for a day.
And she didn't even know what the internet was.
No, she actually didn't. She was like 83 or something like that. She's like, why would an 83-year-old ever connect to the internet? Other than they have to.
Going back to the TikTok thing. Sorry, you gonna say something? Because I did want to make. There's something I want to say about.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
My oh god. You know how, your parents are probably like slow to pick up on internet trends, and like elderly people are slow to pick on internet trends. Like my parents, it took them like 5-10 years to work out email and then Facebook, and my mom has recently worked out TikTok, and she is now sending me and my sister occasional videos on TikTok. They're just like, she's watching these dumb like boomer joke videos. Like they're like not good content whatsoever, but they've discovered it, and this is a problem. There was like, I think like a year or so back, my mom was trying to add my sister on Snapchat, and she was like, "Nope, this is the line. We are not communicating on Snapchat. This is not happening." And there's a good reason for that. My sister does, things that she doesn't want.
Some questionable things, yeah.
Doesn't want my mom to know about. God.
Yeah, my dad drives a truck for a living, so of course he discovered TikTok because he's literally got nothing better to do on his 7-hour reset. So it's like, I don't blame you there, Dad, because it's not like you could bring the TV with you. I understand.
I went to like go buy some I don't know, what do you guys call it? What do you call the stores you buy petrol at in America?
Gas station.
Gas station. There we go.
Yeah, because we call it gasoline here.
Sure. I went to a gas station, a service station, whatever you want to call it, and it was like, 1 a.m. The guy that was running the store, he was just watching a Fortnite live stream. It's like, look, if you're not getting stabbed, that's the only way to entertain your time, I guess. Like, I get it. You're gonna get like 3 customers in the next 4 hours. Like, go watch your Fortnite live stream. I'd be doing the same.
When I worked the truck gate for a certain auto manufacturer here, I would just literally sit on my butt and just watch YouTube videos all day. It's like, yeah, I got nothing better to do. It's like about 15 minutes in between each truck. We don't want to use TikTok because that's like 15 TikTok videos, and I might just not stop scrolling. So it's like, we'll watch YouTube videos.
Yeah,
I can normally squeeze in a video or two in between each truck.
I've never had a job where I've had like enough downtime, besides, doing the YouTube thing, had enough downtime to just sit there and watching videos. First job was working at McDonald's, working in the kitchen. It was not fun. Now I work doing like, stacking shelves. So like I actually got to be paying attention, and I don't have to be paying attention. I listen to podcasts the entire time, but I can't watch videos. That's a bit too much. And I'm sure if I was doing something where I had that downtime, or not even downtime, it's just like time where I don't have to be paying attention.
You know how you find an excuse to watch videos while you're at work? You do what I did and just buy 30% of the company.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, that works.
But yeah, I own and own and have a 30% stake in in a plastics company. We do plastic injection molding. Very interesting industry that apparently exists in this county, which I didn't know existed until like 4 years ago, and then I just wound up suddenly becoming apparently an expert. So when this guy calls, he's just like, "Hey, I'm starting up a company. I need somebody that knows how to run one of these machines, and I happen to see that you're not working in this industry right now. You want to come back in?" And like, "Do you have a company now?" And he's like, "No, but I'm starting one up." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. How is this going to work out?" He's just like, "Well, because we don't even have a building yet. When this company actually opens its doors, I don't have anything to compensate you with right now, but I can give you partial ownership of the company." And I'm like,
Okay.
deal. Because the wonderful thing about plastic injection molding is that if you get a customer to send you a mold and plastic and pallets to put the finished product on, there is next to no overhead cost other than the cost of the machine itself, which the average machine costs about the same as a brand new Honda Civic. Base model. Yeah, so about $30,000 US. Basic cost of a fairly standard machine. And it's just like you just sit there and just set up the machine to run, and it goes burr, and then next thing you know, you have 1,000 parts. About 2 or 3 hours later, you just package them up, ship them out to the customer, make $1,000.
I've heard the term plastic injection molding a bunch of times, not just you saying it a bunch of times, just in my life. What is plastic injection molding? I've never bothered to look into what it actually is.
Okay, so it's actually how these are made.
Right.
These are this is molded plastic. I'm sure that you've seen 3D printed magic plastic where it's got like the lines from the different layers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is all made in one shot.
Right.
Basically, my job is to essentially melt plastic that comes in form of a grind, so it's basically just like pellets.
Sure.
We melt that down into liquid, and then we shoot it into a steel sandwich of a mold.
Right.
At very, very high PSI. That way, it actually fills the part out. It looks pretty when it comes out.
Right.
Let me see here. I'm sure that there's like thousands of
surely
super boring training videos on YouTube because it actually is a hobbyist industry.
Sure.
Let me find one here.
DIY injection molding. How to do injection molding in-house.
Here, I found like the world's most boring training video just for you. It's about 3 minutes long.
Stop playing the audio. I don't want to hear the audio. Here we go. Why does everything autoplay audio? Here we go. Okay. I don't know what I'm looking at, but it is playing.
Yeah, they're gonna talk about like the principles here.
It's got the generic call for music in the background as well.
Yep.
Oh, this is perfect.
Just to let you know, if you're working as a 3D animator, these jobs find you. You don't find these jobs.
I'm sure they pay good money as well.
They probably do.
I still don't know what I'm looking at, but the thing goes in the thing, and then it puts the plastic in the thing.
Yeah, so about 50 seconds in, you got the plastic dropping into the hopper.
Why is this part? I'm just looking at the most replayed section. I don't know why it's the most replayed section. Whatever. Yes, sorry, I cut you off there. What were you saying?
Okay, so about 1:07 in, they're showing what's called the screw of the machine. It does not look like that. It looks more like a giant penis.
I see why it's getting replayed then. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
It basically looks like that. But basically what that does is that spins, and that pulls in the plastic that comes from the hopper up forwards in front of the screw, which that tip right there is referred to as the ram. Because eventually the plastic works its way past it into that ram area, where then it just sits there until the mold closes and seals, and then it just one punches all the plastic straight into the mold.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. Around 140-ish, it's throwing like the plastic come off the mold. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Huh. That's neat.
That is literally my entire industry. and we're on track to make $12 million in revenue. That's not $12 million in profit. There's a difference between profit and revenue.
Yeah.
As for profit, we won't know until we actually make the money and calculate our taxes next year.
Right. By the way, clearly the business is not bankrupt.
Not yet, at least. We might have had to buy 8 machines to start with, procure a building, procure material dryers, grinders, and such.
Mm-hmm.
So the upfront cost was a little much, but thankfully, I personally have no risk in this other than a waste of my time. But on the bright side, I paid for rent for an entire year off the very first payout.
You paid for what?
Yep.
So was that?
I paid for my rent for the first year.
Oh, sweet.
So I'm basically living rent free until December next year.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Sure, that takes a lot of stress off you for a bit.
It sure does. Which that's the only realistically the only bill I have to worry about, other than like my phone bill and internet bills. Which speaking of internet bills, I want to talk about my ISP here for a moment because my ISP
mentioned this
awesome.
when we last talked on DT's thing.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I have a DSL internet connection. Mm-hmm. It's ran by one of the very last mom and pop shops in basically the whole country. So I happen to know the family that operates this ISP because there's only 1,400 people here. You kind of just run into everybody at the grocery store. So I've got the phone number for the network admin, the senior admin, of which there's only 2 people that call themselves network admins there. So every time I have an internet issue, I dial 2 on my speed dial because one's reserved for actual emergencies. So I dial 2, and I just say, "Hey, I'm trying to stream right now. Can I get network priority, please?" It's like, "Yep, you got it. You got it for the next 3 hours."
That's awesome.
Which it's also set up so that I don't have like a proper like regulated internet connection where you have like a cap of like say a gigabit cap or something like that. Mine's unregulated, so my internet speed is literally as fast as they can serve it to me at all times, minus congestion.
Sure.
So of course, when I'm using Linux distributions such as Arch Linux, Pacman will 404 on me randomly because my latency changes dynamically.
Yep. Well, I have
I have filed a bug report against that, and the maintainer literally just told me to buy better internet.
Well, I have this problem like anyway, even with like a supposed to be stable connection. Like if you have multiple people in the house downloading stuff, your latency is going to fluctuate anyway.
Yep. That's honestly why I've used Gentoo for so long because Gentoo is just rsync or git that you're downloading things for your package manager, so it doesn't matter. There's other reasons to use Gentoo because in general packaging just kind of pisses me off.
But you'll say. I remember when we last talked, you're saying your ISP is gonna like shut down or something.
Yes. They bought into Cisco equipment 10 years ago, and guess what's going end of life in 2025?
Right. Okay.
Every single thing that they own. So they were faced with a choice: buy all new everything, or just go end of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally came down to the village that I live in, which is the largest area and probably like their biggest income. They have a deal to be like the dedicated ISP for this village.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the village didn't renew with them. Instead, they went with Dish Network, a satellite provider who doesn't even serve internet. So I'm faced with a choice. I can grandfather myself into Dish Network and then deal with HughesNet satellite internet, which I think they bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can switch to another service like Starlink, which
you can pay
is still not available in my area technically.
But
I am on a waiting list.
You could pay shitloads of money to run a cable from the nearest place you can run a cable.
Yeah, $1,500 per mile on a stretch of 40 miles.
It's not as bad as I would have thought. Like, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is a lot of money.
Like, it's within the... It's not like, $300,000. Like, it's It's a lot, but it could be done.
It could be done. It's about $60,000, which if we turn profits and I get a share of it, I might do that. But then I'll have to be dealing with Spectrum.
Right.
Which is America's other Comcast.
So you're sort of like the perfect customer for Starlink, the perfect situation for like trying it out.
Yeah, I am at I'm basically at the perfect spot. I have joined the waiting list for Starlink. I have prepaid for its availability because they swear up and down it's going to be available. I already bought the satellite and everything. I just can't connect it yet because there's nothing for it to connect to, supposedly, right. Even though I've already found out that there is a signal. There's apparently not a strong enough signal.
Right. How much was it to actually like get everything set up with Starlink? I know the like upfront cost is pretty high.
$430. And to get the Ethernet adapter for it was another $80.
Wait, what? Does it only like give you Wi-Fi initially?
It's only Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah, and then the Ethernet adapter is just one port, so it's like, well, thankfully switches exist.
Yeah. Why would you just charge $500? What?
Yeah. The worst part is that the firmware interface for it doesn't let you do anything. So if I was going to like open a firewall port or something like that, I would literally have to call customer service and have them do it for me.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah, so I've already determined it's like my first day in is just like I'm going to call customer service and tell them, hey, I want a demilitarized zone on this IP address. Can you set that for me, please? And then I will deal with the firewall myself. And they're probably going to tell me that that's not supported because that's a stupid idea.
No, what they're going to tell you is, I don't know what you're saying. Let me redirect you to another person.
Yeah. Possibly.
And then you get redirected for the next hour, basically, until someone's like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
And then do we told it's dumb.
That's probably what's going to be happening unless, like somebody in the village council that, is only here for 3 months out of the year decides that they're going to change their minds.
It's not going to happen.
Which is something interesting because apparently in the state of Ohio, you can technically have a permanent residence address and still run for elections and sit in local city council seats, even though you're only here for 3 months out of the entire year. Because winter is cold and you're 80 plus years old, so you go down to Florida.
With the ISP, like, how much would it actually cost for them to upgrade all their gear?
I think the last quote I got was $386,000.
All right then. Okay.
Because you might as well not buy replacements, and of course a lot of the gear that they would need actually just straight up doesn't exist anymore. So they're kind of just forced to upgrade to begin with.
Right. That's a mess.
Which they're awesome. They get downstream from Spectrum, so they're getting a cable link to their headquarters. So it's nothing impressive to begin with. So they really don't need to buy that much.
Right.
But most of the cost is just caught up in the network switches, and that's really it.
Right. Okay. And that's like it's sad to see a small business like that just go under because
especially one as unique as that.
Yeah. Like, man, that like the relationship you have with the ISP, like that's a really cool thing that just can't exist really in many other places, and it would be nice for that to be preserved. But
yeah, that said,
what can you do about
it? We are looking at like possibly setting up fixed wireless solutions, which might be another business venture I get myself caught up in.
Yeah, you got yourself caught up in a lot of really like weird things. Like when we last talked, you told me about the weather system you have.
Yes, I run a DIY weather station. Mostly because it was a science project for myself. It's like, how can we learn assembly here and learn ARM assembly for Raspberry Pi, specifically Pi 2, which has like next to no actual documentation whatsoever. But it's fine. We can reverse engineer drivers to figure out how this works. I still don't know how to write an assembly, but apparently I made that system work fairly well. It works reliably. But for those not in the know,
Mm-hmm.
I have 27 Pi 2s that all run Gentoo because Gentoo is the only supported distribution for a device this old.
Sure. Sure.
It's the only supported distribution because Arch Linux doesn't support drivers for it anymore.
That's
so it's like it's either LFS or Gentoo. I might as well go with Gentoo.
Yeah, I would go Gentoo in that case, definitely.
They almost never get updated, so I don't have to worry about compiling because they're on an air gap network.
Right.
But I also happen to own a lot of land. I own 120 acres of cornfield, effectively, and this plot of land came with telephone poles, which is also not something you typically get in the United States. Because the company that owned the telephone poles shut down because U.S. government broke them up. I'm sure you might have heard of them. They're called AT&T.
Right.
And nobody ever put claim on the phone poles, so by default, they're mine. Wires included.
Your country is so weird. Like the fact that you can just be like, yeah, no one claims their mine now. Like it's the same thing with like, okay, so in Australia, you own the land. You don't own under the land. Yep. There are some people I know, like, I know some people in the US that have found like dinosaur bones on their land, and because it's on their land, they own them. Like it's just theirs.
Not always.
It is not always. Like, but in a lot of cases, like especially like with the the older properties when it's been in their family for 200 years or whatever, like they just own down everything.
Yeah, you can own in the United States. You can own down as far as 600 feet, if I remember right. You can own 600 feet underground and 120 feet above ground. Well, 120 feet above the highest point of your structures.
Right.
So if you got like a TV antenna that shoots up to like 60 feet, you have 180 feet of clearance on your property that you own.
That's so dumb.
Yeah.
But anyway, you own the phone lines.
I own the phone lines. The only trade-off is that these phone lines have to be disconnected from the national grid because I'm not running a phone service. So if I'm going to be doing anything, I technically could connect them and then run my own phone service if I really wanted to, but I don't want to do that. So of course I didn't. So because my ISP also supports telephone, I called them up and go like, "Hey, can you disconnect these lines?" And they're just like, "Why are we disconnecting lines?" Because they're my lines. I don't want to be on your grid. He's like, "Oh, okay. Let's just prove that these lines don't belong to anybody and they belong to you." And I'm like, "Yeah, here's a court ruling." Homestead Act. It's great. But yeah, it's just like so they disconnected the lines and we just made sure that the lines are still interconnected with each other.
Right.
Of course, this cost me money, of course, because I have to buy phone cable and stuff. And we got everything tied together, and I got the crash course on how to spin up my own phone service. I am the phone number of 1. And each Pi has its own different phone number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 28. Because my phone number is 1.
I love that.
Because that's all that's needed. That's all that's needed. And Pi 2s happen to run off of a 5-volt connection. Phone lines in the United States are 5 volts. So the Pis not only are powered by the phone line, but they communicate from the phone lines because they have temperature and moisture sensors that can also apparently read nitrogen levels, which I'm still working on figuring out. And what these Pis do is they literally phone home every 3 hours using a standard 56K dial-up modem. Powered, of course, USB.
Yeah.
And they take the readings, they dial up, and then they just send a 15 kilobit text file to my server, and that's how I can track the weather.
That's so awesome. I love that so much.
Yeah, that, and because I rent out a lot of my land to the farmers because I don't farm myself. It's just like I'll just rent the land out that way. Somebody's using it because there's no woods there.
Right.
I did plant 5 acres of trees as a retirement plan, but that's 60 years down in the future, and hopefully we still have a country by then.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I just send a farmer go like, oh yeah, I've got like these readings here from like all these little devices I just set up here as like a science experiment. He's like, oh yeah, that'd be kind of useful, because it's nice to know how much water is in your field. That way if you have to water it, or if you have to inject it with nitrogen at all. And,
where is
I just send it.
Where would be the not you nearest weather tracking?
We have one on the local school, which that's how I get like radar.
Right.
Because I can't do radar myself, but I know exactly what temperature it is at my front door. Which the weather station might be off by like a couple of degrees because they're down a hill about 30 miles.
Yeah, I'm sure some government agencies wouldn't exactly be happy about you doing your own radar.
No, it's actually perfectly fine.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can run your own weather radar in the United States. There's nothing illegal about it.
Okay.
The only thing is that the only issue is if you ever broadcast.
Right. Okay.
You can receive all you want, just don't ever broadcast.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So you have this set of Pi 2s that are hooked up to a dial-up network. If it works, it works.
It works.
So, what? I'm sure it's gonna get super technical if you wanted it to, but what is what is the basic process of setting up your own phone service? How does that even come about?
Believe it or not, all it involves is just a 56K modem and a server to run some software on, and all you need is just a SIP server.
Okay, sure.
And then you just set up like an IP telephone.
Huh.
It's just that there's only one IP telephone, and it just relays to everything else.
Huh. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool. Where do you get 56K modems at this point?
Amazon.
Okay.
eBay. If I drive all the way to the big cities, I can literally walk into a Micro Center and buy them.
Oh, okay. Sure. I didn't know
people still sell them.
Well, yeah, I assume you can still get them secondhand. I didn't know you'd be able to buy new ones.
No, you can still get them brand new. The only thing that you can't find brand new is Pi 2s.
Yeah, right.
But thankfully, people are dumping those on eBay for like $10.
Well, I guess they are. Yeah, there are states that still have dial-up in certain regions, so I guess it makes sense.
A lot of the something like 10% of the U.S. rural area population still is served dial-up internet.
Jeez.
Because that is their only option.
Well, yeah, until I guess Starlink becomes a thing and whatever.
It's either dial-up internet or satellite-based services, which standard satellite services are kind of terrible.
Right.
So what a lot of people actually do is that they pay for both satellite and dial-up because dial-up is actually the cheapest form of internet you can get in the United States too. Because who cares? It's like $10 a month, and you've got your backup internet connection. Just in case you run out of your daily data cap on the satellite.
Let's have a look. I did look this up a little while ago. Let's see. $9 a month, Turbo USA. Okay, yeah. AOL. Okay.
AOL, I think Earthlink still sells dial-up.
Yeah, Earthlink, $10. Goes up to $25 after the first 3 months. That's boo.
Don't buy Earthlink. They've always been a scam.
Juno, free up to 10 hours per month, or $30 for accelerated. What is accelerated? What does that mean?
They serve it to you at 56K because that's all your modem's capable of receiving.
What we like: availability, price. Yeah, the price is pretty good. Security. Wait. Dial-up uses a different IP address each time you log in, which makes it virtually impossible for hackers to spoof. You could also just do that on a regular connection.
Yeah, you can just reset renew your DHCP lease every set number of hours. Most routers actually support scheduling. That, surprisingly.
Okay, I like this benefit. Also, unlike broadband internet, a dial-up connection isn't always on, meaning you don't have to worry about anyone hacking your connection connection type? Anyone hacking your connection when you're not logged in. I guess that's fair. I guess
Yep.
if you have, a internet connected printer, I guess no one can like print stuff on it if you just turn off your internet.
Yeah. Yep. That said, you can technically get a dial-up modem, or you can get a dial-up modem that is built into some routers.
Uh-huh.
So you can have a router that manages dial-up for you, and then serve internet over a LAN connection. So, which there's an awful lot of cloud-enabled devices that people buy these days, and I found out because DSL internet that passively, an Android phone will actually send data back for telemetry. At times, that can shoot up to 3 megabits per second. Now, on a super fast internet connection, that's no problem whatsoever.
Yeah,
you probably don't even notice it.
No, I have 250 down, like I think 40 or 50 up.
I'm talking about upstream.
Yeah, like 40 or 50 up. So like, you just see it.
My average upstream bandwidth is about 1.5 megabits.
So in many cases, could saturate your network.
It saturates my network to the point where like I can't even get a DNS query.
Jesus Christ.
So obviously we have to do some network tricks here because sometimes I stream.
Sure.
A lot of times when I'm streaming, you've probably looked at my channel and saw like I do like this weekly live stream called Distro Hacking on Fridays.
Yeah.
I'm technically not streaming directly to YouTube. Instead, what I do is because best buddy ISP is I stream to an RTMP relay at their place, which I'm going over the local network, which means that I have more bandwidth I can work with. I can actually push up to 6 megabits upstream to my ISP, who then has a coax connection to the next town, which then relays to YouTube.
That is really cool. So you're basically just like siphoning off of like the connection for the entire town.
Yeah, and it's mostly not a problem because most normal people aren't really using their upstream bandwidth whatsoever.
Yeah. That's
most
cool.
Most of the time for upstream bandwidth is used for telemetry data, like video game connections, which there's not a whole lot of people that play video games out here because it's terrible internet to begin with, or DNS queries,
Windows updates
too, and Windows telemetry. But
I want to know what Android's sending back that it needs 3 megabit up. Like that's insane.
Yeah, it's just telemetry data. It's not like Google Photos Sync or anything.
Yeah, no,
it's just telemetry. Which kind of makes you wonder, like, what the hell is it?
Either it's a lot of data, or whoever wrote it was like, you know what? People don't have 3 megabit up. It doesn't matter. Like, whatever. Just do it. Just make it as unoptimized as possible. It doesn't matter. But I think it's the former.
Of course, my wireless internet connection here has no internet access whatsoever. So if I need internet, I have to plug it in.
Right.
Thankfully, most Android devices don't have an Ethernet port.
Yep.
Which kind of sucks when I want to watch a YouTube video and I want to use my tablet to watch it. Thankfully, Jellyfin exists, and I can just watch the YouTube video through Jellyfin and just stream it to my tablet. My phone basically gets like no connection because the only data enabled wireless enabled antenna is a single 4G LTE antenna for the entire county, and I'm right on the edge of it. I can make and receive phone calls perfectly fine, but they're not. It's not voice over LTE, so of course it's slightly terrible audio quality, and sometimes I can't send MMS messages or not receive them. But every now and then it's good enough for like an email notification. Like it's fine. I've got computers.
Yeah, that's fair. God. Man, that's such a that's such a setup.
Yeah, there is a surprising amount of people here that actually have PF sense firewalls just so they can actually like limit some devices in their connection. It's actually pretty crazy, like how many people have that out here because ISPs, they got to make money somehow. It's just like, hey, you're complaining about your internet connection. Tell you what, we'll send a technician out there and set up a PF sense firewall just for you.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
and it's
like best ISP ever. I wish I had him 10 years ago when I lived in the city.
And it's all gonna go away in 2025.
Yep, it's all gonna go away. So it's just like, unless we figure out a different solution.
Yeah.
Which, if we ever get fixed wireless internet, it's going to get faster anyway, and we might not have to do such hackery stuff to begin with.
Yeah, but, yeah. Anyway, you mentioned you have an Intel Arc card.
Yes.
Why?
Why not?
Good answer. I did see like you took it out of your system at one point to put an AMD card back in there.
I took it out. I put an AMD RX 560 in. I thought it was a 570. It was sold to me as a 580. But it's a 560 with a different cooler.
Oh, yeah, okay. Did you pay 580 prices for it? What?
I paid $30 for it.
Oh, doesn't matter then. Okay.
Yeah, so I bought it. I plugged it into the system. In fact, it is still the one that I have to plug into the system if I need to reinstall the operating system I'm using, Solus, because their ISOs from like 3 years ago.
So,
which they are working on a new ISO. There's a whole checklist. It's just like, but for some reason they want to add features instead of just like push package updates. I'm like, just push package updates and call it good. Why do we have to enable secure reboot?
Yeah, just get everything. Get everything working.
Just get something so that anybody that built a computer in the last year can actually boot the system.
Yeah.
Boot the install media.
So when was the last Solus update?
So there are package updates available now. So that can update you to current. Yes. But the ISO is from 2021.
Right, okay.
Which it ships with a 5.13 kernel.
All right, okay.
Did you know that was the kernel that was out at the time?
Let's hope you don't have, any modern GPU, because it's not gonna go too well for you when you boot.
I mean, you can get a basic display output on AMD 6000 series cards, but not 7000.
Right.
NVIDIA 30 and 40 series, good luck. You're not going to get anything.
And I presume the same can be said about
Intel Arc GPU system doesn't even boot.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like it just doesn't boot.
Let's hope you have onboard graphics, because if you have onboard graphics, it's probably going to be fine.
It is an Intel CPU, which does have onboard graphics, but guess what also doesn't work?
Right, okay. I see.
So I have to have a spare GPU.
So
which I was lucky that I got.
So what's the deal with Intel Arc? Why are you playing around with that?
So the main reason why I got the Intel Arc was because people think that I'm like a distro hopper. I like to call myself a distro hacker.
Right.
Because I just want to play around with things, break things, and I also like push bug reports like a madman upstream. If any of your viewers also watch the Linux cast, I was talking about a couple weeks ago with like how many bug reports I filed. On average, it's about 20 or so a week.
Hey, look,
like, hey, this thing's a compiler error. Hey, this system's not working with this hardware configuration and such. So it's just like Intel Arc, first generation product. People are still working on the drivers. I've already submitted something like 48 bug reports and patch test. I like to call them patch test confirmations or denials.
Right.
Because the patch didn't work.
Right. Okay. So basically, you have it. I presume that you don't just have it because you just want to go and test it. Like, you just want to like report bugs.
Yeah, for the most part, I'm reporting bugs, and also like I had a 5700 XT. I bought it on release day. I've done a lot of stupid things with the 5700 XT. Like crypto mining, undervolting, overvolting, overclocking. So basically, it was a great card. I had to quit using it as the dedicated encoder because the encoder chip wound up I think the encoder chip actually died before the actual GPU did. Because I used to use it for hardware transcoding in OBS, and like it's just started getting like stutters and green flashes and all that, signs of either a defective driver or a defective card.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well that's fine. I've got the Intel CPU. I'll just use QuickSync, whatever. And then one day it's just like I went to reboot the system, and I just never got a display back.
Oh, okay.
And like, oh, okay. And then I'm just like, okay, so something's going on here. Let me walk over to the closet there and make sure the computer actually turned on, because it's not right here in front of me. I open the door and right there's magic blue smoke. You're like, oh shit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the card self detonated with a capacitor blew in it. That's basically what happened.
Man, that's rough.
Yep. Which, when you abuse a GPU like I did, because, if you just use it like a normal sane person, a GPU will actually probably last you quite a while. But, I'm sitting here, I'm crypto mining while overvolting, overclocking, and using this very untested firmware version.
Let's see what the top card is in this new hardware server, because I know it's like some really old NVIDIA card.
It's like a 1660 is last I checked.
That sounds correct.
Let's see here. We got April 2023 already. Okay, well, let's pull this up here.
1650.
1650. Okay. Yeah, I was almost right.
That is how old is that card at this point?
NVIDIA 6 years?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if people are still running it just fine. Like, yeah, people not being stupid with it. It just keeps going.
I mean, if it still plays your games at 1080p, because that's what most resolutions are, it's fine.
Yeah, resolutions are basically capped, like pretty. Like, I'm surprised that we still haven't moved to 4K, but like no one, like scaling gets weird at 4K, and you don't like the size that we use monitors at. The difference isn't really that big. Like, I remember, like the jumps between like the jump from 720 to 1080p, like that was a big jump. But like,
yeah,
we didn't even move to 1440. Like most people are still just 1080p. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and even then on like large format displays, I much prefer a 1440 screen compared to a 4K screen. The only reason I would buy a 4K screen is for like super large format screens, like a TV.
Right, that makes sense.
But from like 27 inches and below, 1080p is actually what's referred to as pixel perfect. Which basically means that your image is as sharp as it could possibly get at that, assuming that you're sitting at an appropriate distance from your monitor, which is typically about 3.5 to 4 feet.
What? Like, well, yeah.
I may or may not have delved into user interface work before. Something wrote World of Warcraft add-ons and had to figure stuff out.
Right. Okay. I've never played WoW. I did have some friends who were like, I think it was back during, when was it? I had some friends who wanted me to start playing back during, I want to say Mr. Pandaria. Yeah, something like that. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to start playing the game. I picked out everything I was going to do and I just never started playing. Like when I grew up, I was real big on RuneScape. I played RuneScape for many years, for many hours, and it was a waste of time. And I don't recommend it. RuneScape is not a good use of your time. Now I just play a lot of, I think I have like 1,000 hours or something in Final Fantasy 14. So like, it's not much better, but it is what it is.
I played World of Warcraft from when I first had a high-speed internet connection. Which I didn't have high-speed internet until 2012. Basically, when I moved to the city.
Right. And now, well, you have a connection.
Yeah, I have a connection that classifies as high-speed internet connection under current FCC guidelines.
What?
Not proposed, but I do have a high-speed internet connection under the current classification that was based back in 1998.
Oh God,
America's fun.
Well, that reminds me of the for a long time on the Steam hardware survey, now they've updated it. Now they've got like, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte hard drives. For a long time, like the top tier, I think was like 100 gigabytes, and then everything above that was just above 100 gigabytes. It's like,
yeah.
And this was when people were like well into the terabyte range. That standard needs to be updated. Like how is what you have a high speed internet?
Well, it was back in the day, but not so much anymore. There's actually been pushes to move it to 5 megabits up, 25 megabits down. Where currently it is 2 megabits up, and I think it's like 15 megabits down. It is what classifies as high speed broadband.
Okay, 25 by 5 makes more. I guess.
Well, they have to be conservative in the number because much of America's internet backbone is still ran through coax and phone lines.
No, that makes sense. No, that does make sense. I don't know if you should still call it high speed, but I don't. It depends on what they want to like tie into what like the high speed definition actually is.
Well, if they ever update the standard to like a more reasonable speed, basically then the federal government has to work with the 1996 Telecommunications Act, which basically enforces that the FCC needs to start appropriating a bunch of money to give to the ISP to give to the ISPs of the world. Money to upgrade their network because the ISPs are supposed to provide high-speed internet bandwidth.
That makes sense.
When and if available.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which, if they update the standard, then all those ISPs can literally just sue the FCC for money.
Right, okay.
Going like, hey, you're changing my classification.
I see the issue. I guess this is, I guess this is the benefit of, like, the Australian system where we don't have this. You guys have like fake choice where you have a couple of companies that refuse to compete with each other. We have a government monopoly. There is
I would prefer the government monopoly. Yeah.
There are a couple of little fiber providers here and there, but for the most part everything goes through the national broadband network. And they fixed it up. Like, initially, they wanted to go, everyone has fiber. Then they're like, no, that's expensive. Let's do fiber to the node and then use the existing copper. Then another government came in. They were like, that's stupid. Let's do the original plan. And now everything is like 3 times the cost of what it would have been from doing it properly from the start.
But on the bright side, there's a farm out there in the middle of nowhere that has gigabit fiber ran to it.
No, like, that's actually not even a joke. Like, some of the earliest like fiber rollouts were places like Alice Springs, a town in the middle of nowhere. Like, it's they had fiber like 10 years ago. Like, but like, I have fiber now. We don't get like, even though we have fiber, it's like, it's fiber. You have the fiber there, but the max they will give you is $250. You can get a business line, but business lines are expensive, and they're slowly to a couple of areas being like, hey, you want gigabit? One of the gigabit plans they offer. This is how little upload is treated as like an important thing. They offer gigabit by 50. It's like 50 is fine, but like, what is this unbalance here?
I bet you that if you ever get them caught up in like some government debate, they're going to cite piracy as an issue.
Probably, like,
because if everybody had massive upload speeds, they just seed torrents. Which I may or may not have had to download an application on a web VPS server and then create my own DIY torrent and then download it back home. And then I discovered rsync was a thing, and it made life so much easier for me.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of effort just to do that.
Well, when I happen to have to download like say a Red Hat ISO image, which is like 8 gigabytes. I can't just go to redhat.com and just download it to like my local computer because I have unreliable internet speeds and latency is a thing. So oftentimes what I do is I have a web server that runs my website. I just SSH into that, wget wget the file to the web server, and then I just rsync it back home.
Huh. That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, it works.
Yeah, because the web server would have some reasonable pipe sent to it. Otherwise,
Yeah, and I mean, it can download the image way faster than I can. I think it's a Linode VPS.
Right.
They've got their own ISP and all that other tagline bull, which not that it's bull crap to begin with. It's actually pretty awesome, but it basically has unlimited bandwidth.
Yeah.
The only thing that you're paying for is the actual transfer. If you ever meet one of their transfer caps, which I haven't yet.
Yeah, just downloading the occasional ISO here and there, you're definitely not going to hit it.
Yeah, so I just grab the ISO and then I pull it back home and I just sit on it.
Huh. That is certainly a way.
Or I can download the images via torrent because I'm one of those few people that legitimately torrents Linux images and only Linux images.
Well, I torrent Linux images.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything else you use torrents for, but I certainly torrent Linux images.
I mean, I've got a red box and an automatic ripping machine container, so you can kind of just guess what happens there.
Nothing illegal. Nothing
illegal. I'm just making copies for myself off of a DVD that I supposedly own for the next 24 hours.
Yep, exactly. Yep, perfect. One thing I saw you had in one of your older videos was an ultra-wide monitor.
Yes.
You're not using that now, correct?
No, it broke when I moved.
Oh, okay. That's sad.
It was a shame because it was a really beautiful color accurate, specifically for like editing my videos and like using a reasonable color correction because I wanted to attempt my hand at it. Then it broke, and before I ever got around to actually doing that.
Right. What was the? I've not used an ultra wide myself. I've certainly considered it. It'd just be if I was to get it, be my main monitor, so capture would be a little bit funky with it. I know there's you can get around
capture
it.
Was a little funky. My workaround for it was to either just record the middle of the screen and never put anything outside of the middle of the screen. So obviously I wasn't doing tiling window managers at the time either. Or I would just screen capture the whole thing and then crop the heck out of it. Right. Or I would only tell OBS to capture just one side of the screen and I just kept everything on the other side.
I know on Xorg there are some funky virtual desktop things you can do with Xrender that you could.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that because the screen just wasn't wide enough because I would have this much screen, and if I wanted to run a full 16:9 capture, I had about this much screen left over, which is basically next to nothing.
Right. Okay.
Just enough to run my OBS window in a very scrunched up.
So, what was it like actually using ultrawide though, just as a daily driver?
It was fine. I don't know if I'd buy another ultrawide monitor because I kind of just fell in agreement with when text because it's just for the same price, why don't you just buy a really big monitor?
Right.
Yeah, okay. So I think that's going to be the path I go down in the future. Lighted the gaming experience as well, say some from a third person perspective, you could actually see more of the game. Which basically felt like cheating when you're playing main tank in a raid on World of Warcraft. You could just see everything.
Well, look, it's not actual cheating like Diablo 4, where initially the teleport was based on the width of your monitor.
Yep.
What a great game, Diablo 4. I'm sure it's going to turn out to be a perfect game. No problems whatsoever. It's not going to be like Diablo 3, where everyone beta tested Chapter 1, and then after Chapter 1, the game fell apart.
Yep.
Definitely not going to happen again. Nope.
Definitely not.
No.
Now what's going to happen is that the game is probably going to be a decent game overall because Blizzard still has a little bit of their magic touch that they used to have way back in the day, where it's just things work. So the game might actually be playable, and mechanics might be fun, But the most unfun thing is the monetization.
Hey, it's not. Look, it's not gonna be Diablo Immortal. Probably.
I mean, it's probably not going to be Diablo Immortal, but it might just be as bad as like World of Warcraft.
Well, yeah, the WoW token exists. Just that by itself is already bad enough. Like the fact that a game. So if a game developer is willing to just sell you gold, I don't care about real money trading anymore. If you want to have like third-party real money like auction houses, like go ahead. I don't care. If the developer is selling gold, why can't a third party sell gold?
Well, their justification for putting that in the game without ruining the game? EVE Online does it.
EVE Online also has $300,000 space battles.
Yeah.
That's not the game you want to emulate.
But that was their excuse back in the day.
Oh,
that forum post is gone now because they updated the forum website and of course removed all the old posts. But
right.
I'm sure you could probably find it on like archive.org if you look.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, RuneScape has the same thing as well. They have bonds where it's just buying gold basically. Like this is no, stop it. Like for all the problems that I have with FF14, at least you can't buy gold. Not like gold matters in the game anyway. Like the current a lot of the currency in 14 just exists to like spend at the nightclubs.
Yeah.
The ERP at the nightclubs, that's all it's for.
I tried playing Final Fantasy 14. But of course internet connection is kind of terrible, and Final Fantasy 14 for some reason requires a little bit more upstream bandwidth than World of Warcraft does.
Yeah, that might be a bit rough. Go back and play FF11.
Yeah, I could probably play
it's a PS2 game. It'll surely work.
Yeah, I could probably play that. Like, there are some other MMOs I could play. For the most part, I just don't really play MMOs that much.
No, that's fair.
Instead, for like a long time, I just didn't play any game. So I had like the Steam library that was just like rotting because I have my entire Steam library downloaded for obvious reasons.
Sure.
So because I don't want to spend like a day and a half downloading a Steam game in the future. So of course, I have servers at my house because when you have terrible internet, it's you tend to wind up and you're a tech nerd, you just wind up hosting a lot of stuff yourself. People call it a home lab nowadays. Back when I first started doing it, they still called them home servers or NAS, as you might call them. So I have like the entirety of my Steam library, which is 2.2 terabytes, downloaded to the server. That I keep religiously backed up because I have the world's most aggressive backup policy because I break stuff.
Right.
I follow a 3-2-1 backup policy very, very religiously. But
God.
I have the Steam library downloaded. I have an RSS reader that pipes into YouTube that downloads like a YouTube subscription updates, which I may or may not be pirating your content. I apologize. It's just like the most manageable way for me to watch it without having to wait half an hour.
You're not the only one doing it. It's fine.
Sometimes. But I make sure that I have a headless Firefox container that also like gives you a view.
I know
my web server does surprisingly a lot just for me, and hopefully it never gets compromised.
Yeah, that would be an issue.
It would be an issue because I rely on it quite heavily.
Like, even though having this connection would be a giant pain, it has given you a reason to come up with solutions to things that most people just wouldn't go through the hassle of doing.
Yeah, like how many people set up a package mirror or like reverse engineer distributions package mirror so they can figure out how to set up a package mirror?
Right. So you have a so if you want to like words. I'm presuming you would download the package updates and then mirror them to like your other systems, or yeah.
Yeah, my server downloads all the package updates, and then it serves as the active host for everything else to connect to.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
My desktop right now is running a different operating system from everything else.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm currently working on that.
Mhm.
It's just that the developers don't want to help me with this because EO package is not very good for handling multiple mirrors.
Oh, you're doing Solus.
Yeah, I'm doing Solus right now. Because that's the distribution I'm working on right now with the upstream developers. I've actually pushed I think I'm up to 16 packages that I updated myself at this point and published to their repository. So I may or may not accidentally become a package maintainer, which then might lock me into this distribution. Hopefully it sticks around.
Well, what you do is you just get another computer and leave Solus on one of them and then use something else.
Yeah, I might do that with this ThinkPad, or I might do that with System 76 computer, or
Okay, we got plenty of computers here.
This cheap HP computer that I picked up out of a yard sale for $2. Solus cannot boot on the Pinebook, unfortunately.
Oh, that's sad. How many computers do you just have in arm's reach?
I just picked up 4 laptops, if that tells you anything. But I've got 4 laptops there. I've got the home theater computer right there, and then everything else is in the closet.
Man. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I did the Linus Tech Tips thing because it made sense to me at the time. It's just like we're just going to mount as many things in the server rack as we possibly can because I already had a server rack to begin with because nerd with a server. Eventually, we're going to do the cool guy thing, and we're going to buy some servers off of eBay and run them. Well, it turns out that they're super loud, and it's like, okay, well, we'll just put them in another room, and we won't have to worry about them. And then one day, I'm just sitting here, I'm trying to record a video, and just like I keep hearing this background noise, and like, oh, it's the computer fans, because I was CPU encoding the video.
Right.
Which inefficient, causes a lot of heat. Fans kick up. This was like a 6-hour recording session I did, and it was probably the most effort I ever put into a video that still turned out pretty terrible at the end. But anyways, after I went to edit that video and I was getting frustrated because Audacity's noise reduction wasn't completely eliminating it, so I was having to go in between each of my voice clips and mute it. I eventually just I need to come up with another solution. So I contacted my good buddies over at Sliger, and I bought a rack mount chassis for my desktop computer, and then I proceeded to Amazon and I bought the 3 HDMI to display port cables that are about 30 feet long. And then I bought about 6 or 7 USB docks until I found one I liked.
I actually should get myself a USB dock. I have 2 front USB ports on my computer, and I occasionally would need to swap things in and out. I can't have this camera and my 2 cameras and a game controller plugged in. I should just go. I've been meaning to get one ages ago. I don't know why I just didn't go and buy one. It saved me so much hassle.
Yeah, what I've got is a USB dock. Let me see if I can find it here. I bought it off of Amazon, so I should be able to find the order.
Should be.
I buy a lot of stuff off of Amazon because I don't have a retail store near me.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
I buy a lot of stuff off Amazon because I'm too lazy to leave the house.
It does not show up when I type Acasis or USB into that, so I have to look it up by vendor name. Here it is.
Oh, you found it?
It is an ACASIS, so Acasis 16-port 90-watt USB 3.0 data port.
Wait, ACS. Here, I'll link it to you. Oh yeah, thank you.
I linked it to you.
Here.
But it is just USB 3.0, so you're kind of limited to 5 gigabits. Which if I think 5 gigabits is plenty enough for me for my keyboards and mice.
That thing looks ridiculous with so many ports on it.
It kind of is ridiculous, but when it's the only USB access you have at your desk, it's perfect.
Yeah, it probably it will work just fine.
Yeah, it is the perfect solution, and it's pretty durable. It hasn't failed yet. Prior to this one, I was using the Amazon Basics USB hub, which lasted me for about 7 months, and then it died.
Ah, that's annoying.
Yeah, but the important part is that when you're running a setup like mine, it's best to find a USB hub that plugs into power.
Right.
Because when you're running these long USB cables, that USB cable might not have enough power to operate your hub.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
So what I did was I looked up Raspberry. So to find this thing, I literally looked up Raspberry Pi NAS USB hub, and and I just went down that rabbit hole of Raspberry Pi people, just doing self-hosting things and spinning up NASs. Which I did the Pi NAS before. Pi NAS is great until like Pis suddenly were no longer available.
Yeah, that was the thing,
And
wasn't it?
I bought one Pi 4, and that's the only one I ever bought. Even though I have a rack unit that I can plug 3 more into, and I even have the power net adapter for them.
I remember during that shortage when LTD put out that video, being like, "Here is the best Raspberry Pi alternative," and it's just like this thing that had basically no support, and it's just like,
Yep.
What are we doing here? What is this?
Yeah, realistically, the only supported competitors to the Pi that are realistic options is like the Orange Pi or the Odroid or Pine 64.
Right. Right.
Which Pine 64 doesn't do their own software development. So, of course, me being a savage at the start of this year, I wanted to see if I could go a whole month using nothing but Pine 64 devices. Didn't work out so well.
Okay.
The Pine Book was probably the most reliable thing, surprisingly. Even though I would just update Manjaro and then suddenly Network Manager would no longer
what did you
exist
say?
or work. Manjaro.
Okay, we're gonna move past that.
I'm sorry. I live in Navajo Nation.
Anyway, I've never heard anybody say Manjaro.
That's how I pronounce it in my world because I speak American.
Fair enough. Look,
technically, I speak Midwestern English with a slight Cherokee and Navajo ticks. Who knows? It's just unique to my region. I guess I can call it Manjaro, but it just sounds weird.
Sure, if it works, it works. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but either way, you know what distribution I'm talking about.
Yes, I know.
But I would just run an update on it, and then Network Manager would count as an installed package, but there was no systemd service file for it anymore.
Right.
Which was interesting. I'm reporting the bug upstream, and they're trying to replicate it, but of course they're not able to replicate it because whoever replicates any bug report that I ever file. Most of the time, I'm only ever successful when I complain about a website and I go like, "Hey, this is a bad user experience." Like when Fedora updated their website, I went to download Fedora CoreOS because it's like I've never heard of this project, so we're going to grab it, download it, and figure it out. It would install, which is cool, but apparently you have to write a script via this thing called Ignition to be able to generate a login.
Okay.
So I had this wonderful installed system on my computer that was stuck at a TTY login prompt. And okay, so I never set a password to begin with. So is it root with no user login? Because some distributions used to do that way back in the day. Nothing. You're well, this is interesting. So I flash back to something that works because I did this on a workstation because I'm a savage. And I go into the Fedora Matrix chat, and I'm just sitting there going "Hey, I installed CoreOS." Or no, I think it was the Discord actually. I'm in the Discord and go so I installed CoreOS, but I don't know how to log into it. And then they're just oh yeah, you're supposed to use Ignition to write a startup script via YAML file and then have it compile into a package that you then set up on that you can then reproduce. And that just sounds like NixOS to me, but all right. That's basically what it is. It's just NixOS, but you're not dealing with the Nix package manager. You're just writing an installation script for it. Which it turns out that's basically how that works. And okay, That's pretty cool. I wish there was a documentation button next to the download button. Which, in truth, there was. However, the documentation button was in a different spot, and it had no border around it or anything, so it was not super, super obvious to me.
Right.
So I go to, I take like several hundred screenshots. I go into the Fedora bug tracker, and I post in there and go like, hey, this is just a super bad user experience because, I just installed CoreOS, and I spent about 15 minutes trying to figure out how to log into it, literally Googling for login information, finding absolutely nothing. And then I get into the Discord and they go like, oh yeah, you're supposed to use this one thing that I had no clear and apparent documentation link to find.
Mm-hmm.
They made that change within the day. World's fastest resolved bug report ever.
Wow.
Better than Debian, which sometimes takes about 2 years to actually for somebody to initially respond and tell you that you screwed up on your bug report. Then you can't even remember what the heck you did.
So, whatever. It's already been 2 hours.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
I imagine it's getting pretty late for you.
Yeah, it's going on 1:30 in the morning right now. But, I think we should probably be ending off the show. Unless you got something else that's really pressing you want to mention?
No, not really. I guess people are free to join me on Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I do like this weekly live stream where I do stupid stuff with software.
Sweet.
Like, let's fork Zero Linux and see what we can do with it, or let's install this random distribution that nobody ever heard of. Oh, the maintainer happens to be in the chat. Hey, come and join us in the free to join Jitsi room. Links in the description. Anybody can join. Don't dox me, please, because then we might have to take that option away.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
It's very dangerous, but at the same time, when you're doing a live stream where you look at the ending total and you only get 27 views, not really a problem yet.
Right, that's fair. No, that's totally fair. Well, I guess let the people know where they can find you, or your social media or whatever. What do you want to mention?
Oh, okay. So I told you about this website link.
Yes.
You thought it was hilarious. People are also going to find it hilarious because I've long determined that if people want to find me, it's because they secretly want to stalk me. So I created this page on my web server, which, by the way, don't compromise my web server, please. If you hack the website, you're just trapped in a Docker container anyway. But it's 10lyj.com/stalker is the web URL that you go to. Because I understand that you want to track me down and you want to follow me on all of these platforms. So I literally have everything linked there. I made sure of it because I double checked and I realized that I didn't have the YouTube link there.
That was pretty important.
Yep, pretty important. Because, my assumption is that if people find me, they find me through YouTube.
Yeah, that's
fair. I'm also on a awful lot of other platforms. So it's just like, people will find me. But I do different things on these different platforms, so it's just like I literally just put in there and go like, yeah, this is what I do on these platforms. I'm a nerd here. I shout at things here. I get in political fights here because that's all you ever do on Twitter. I don't even know what I do on Reddit anymore.
Yeah, I use Reddit to farm content. That's all Reddit is for me.
I use Reddit to sometimes shout at people and tell them that they're doing.
Do you know there's a spelling mistake on this page?
There probably is.
Yeah, on the PeerTube line.
Let me look at it here. That's fine. It's fine. There's a GitLab page for this website. GitLab.com/10lyjs.
It's also just a random space on your email me here. Like, there's a space before the yes.
It's fine. It's fine.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I should probably put like the GitLab link there. That way somebody can make a pull request to fix it.
Perfect. Is that all you want to mention then?
Well, that is the most universal way to find me. That said, I also show up in comment sections. You do. Or I show up in a lot of comment sections, even non-tech related things here, just going like, this isn't a Gentoo video, except we don't run Gentoo anymore, so this isn't a Solos video.
Hey, you do run Gentoo on your weather system.
I do run Gentoo on the weather system, but is it actually running Gentoo when I haven't updated the packages? They're still using a I think it's like a 4.7 kernel. But it's an air-gapped system, so it's fine. I don't have to worry about security vulnerabilities because there's nobody else on the network.
Yeah, that's true. Someone just fucking come along hook into your network.
How many people are going to hack into a dial-up network? Let's be honest.
If they do it, just let them. Like, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's just like, I'll let them because, that server is a physical box. It doesn't even really do much of anything else. So it's like dedicated machine. And it's a Red Hat machine. So it's covered by Firewality and SC Linux, which, nobody understands anything about either.
Oh, I love it.
Except me because, I happen to buy this fancy book about it.
Ooh, fancy book. This was fun. I enjoyed this.
You're welcome.
Yeah, as for me, main channel is Brody Robertson. I do Linux videos there 6-ish days a week. I might do other things there. I don't know. Check out the channel. Actually, no, this is going out like 2 weeks from now. I don't know what's going to be up on the channel. Go watch the videos. You'll find out. The gaming channel is Brody on Games. I do gaming videos there, as you would expect from a gaming channel. I'm currently playing through Yakuza 0, and I don't know what else I'm playing, actually, because I would have finished the other game. Go find out. You'll see something there. And then when FF16 comes out, we'll be playing that constantly. Because I'm very excited for it, and I really hope we don't have another fucking bad AAA game release. I want this game to be good. Anyway, if you're listening to the audio version of this, the video version is on YouTube at Tech Over Tea. And find the audio podcast, RSS feed, iTunes, anywhere you can find podcasts. Type in Tech Over Tea, you'll find it. And yeah, I'll give you the final word. What do you want to say?
The next game you should play is Celeste if you haven't played it already.
I played Celeste. I got to Seaside, and then I got this was very hard, and I'm like, I'm done now.
Okay, just play Trine.
Trine? Ooh, okay.
Trine.
Trine
1, 2, 3, and 4.
That's not a bad idea, actually. Might do that.
Yeah, it's a puzzle platformer.
No, maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I own a lot of Steam games.
Yeah, it's a super cheap franchise. I think it was on sale recently, but even when it's not on sale, it's like each game is like $5. Yeah. Super cheap because they came out forever ago. But they are beautiful looking games.
Yep.
That basically require next to nothing to actually run.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. We'll see. I got too many games in my backlog I want to play anyway. It's just ever growing. But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I think that'll be everything then. So I guess we are done here.
That's fine. I'll see you guys. Just remember, it's your GNU given rights, so do whatever you want with your free and open source software.
She'll end it on that. Why not?
Yep. You're welcome.